obviously, I'm a big NFL fan.
Mm-hmm.
You are. You're in the Hall of Fame. And once again, the game we love, run by a multi-billion-dollar corporation, looks so bad here, incomprehensibly bad here. Again, the shield gets cracked when you least expected it, when you thought that the National Football League had learned its lesson after Ray Rice, and when you thought that the NFL had gone out of its way to beef up its domestic violence program, both in its penalty, which is supposed to be this blanket first offense, 6 games, and also remember the additions of female staffers. Remember Lisa Friel got hired. She'd been the head of the sex claims prosecution unit in New York. Strong, tough, informed, has vision, and you'd think, well, Lisa Friel would open the eyes and the doors at the NFL's office in New York City and keep everybody on their toes. 2 other women were hired who had been running anti-domestic violence campaigns, programs nationally. So you would think that the brain power there, the female additions, would wake up the National Football League. So Josh Brown got 1 game in August, and you read their statement that they tried and tried. They went to every length to gain access to these records up in what's called King County. It's up in the Seattle area. And now we have a sheriff from that office say, no, I got 1 request via email from somebody they didn't know named Robert Agnew, who did not even identify himself as being a representative of the National Football League. And as the sheriff said, we didn't know who this yokel was. It could have been anybody. Now, he also made it clear they were not going to release these records under any circumstance, but he did say if someone had called and identified themselves as being from the NFL, that orally he would have spoken about what they knew record-wise, even though he still wouldn't have released the records. Now we have a Deadspin writer today saying that, and he'd written a story a couple of weeks ago, in which he fairly easily was able to acquire the divorce court records of their divorce between Josh and Molly Brown. And in those records, it's pretty damning what Josh Brown had done regularly to her. She's spoken about it publicly numerous times. I would read the quotes and think, wow, that's shocking. And so the NFL couldn't verify that? Apparently not. I didn't know. And now we have John Mary, you just heard, talk about, yes, he admitted to us that he abused his wife, but it was unclear to what level he had. Well, if he admitted, I don't know, 2 plus
Levels?
2 doesn't, level of what? There's no level. You either do or you don't.
Correct.
And so I'm left baffled again by the National Football League, the billion-dollar corporation. Is this just bumbling incompetence? Or is it sort of premeditated incompetence where they're just trying to sweep these under the carpet? Josh Brown is not a big star. He's not a big name. I'll submit to you that as we speak about Josh Brown, a lot of NFL fans aren't even sure who Josh Brown is because he's a kicker. So was it that the kicker didn't matter? It's not like you'd say, well, the NFL is trying to protect a big star here and keep him eligible. No, I mean, who cares? Kickers are pretty expendable, I would think, in the eyes of Madison Avenue NFL, right?
They're not even viewed as football
They're
players.
not even viewed as football, and I agree with you on that. So in the end, I'm stunned over this. I'm hurt over it as an NFL fan, and obviously Josh Brown needs to be suspended for 6 games and should have been from the start. And I want to hear the commissioner attempt to defend himself this time, because this looks not quite as bad as Ray Rice, but just in the procedural, in just the gathering of evidence, it's right there with Ray Rice. Maybe the episode, although, you know what, the more I talk about it, it is as bad as Ray Rice. It's just that Josh Brown isn't Ray Rice, right? So in the end, I am left exceedingly disappointed in the NFL. And it's just another taint on the shield that I did not see coming.
Skip, in 2014, the NFL maybe suffered its greatest black eye, its greatest dark moment in the history of its existence. You had the Ray Rice situation, you had the Greg Hardy situation, you also had the Adrian Peterson situation. And in August of 2014, Commissioner Goodell issued a tough stance on domestic violence. He says a first offense will be subject to a suspension of 6 weeks without pay. Mitigating circumstances will be considered, and more severe discipline will be imposed if there are aggravating circumstances, such as the presence or use of a weapon, choking, repeated striking, or when the act is committed against a pregnant woman or in the presence of a child. This was his get tough stance. Now, this get tough stance only happened after the public outcry about what happened in the Ray Rice situation. Because remember, they tried to get the video, they tried to get all pertinent evidence to the Ray Rice situation.
They said they did.
That's my point.
Yep.
They said they could somehow. TMZ got information that a $12 billion corporation could not get. See where I'm going with this, Skip? Now, in the statement that Joy was reading, they tried to obtain all pertinent information to this case and could not receive it. A deadspin writer on a $75,000 to $100,000 salary got information about this very case that a $12 billion corporation could not get. One man could do the work. If the NFL has 75 lawyers, they have 2. So even if they just have 2, you and I both know, Skip, they have more than 2. They have 50 people, 100 people that could have gone up there and got this information. I want to take you back a little. How many investigators do you think they had in the Bounty Gate or Deflate Gate or the bullying scandal? You see how they did the due diligence, or they led us to believe they spend all this money. Not only would they not pick up the phone and call, they sent an email. They did not even want to spend $2 the long distance call to call from New York to Seattle. But even if they don't do that, they still got security that works for the Seahawks. They could have asked them to go over there and get the information. Let's just take this on its face value. Ray Rice, Josh Brown. Even when the NFL said they didn't have the information, they suspended him for 2 games. You have no information on Josh Brown, you suspend him 1. Tell me why. You see, now you got people, now you got NFL. Now remember, 64% of the NFL players are black. You got them looking at this, okay, the black guy get 2 games, the white guy gets 1 game. Let's go to the Greg Hardy situation.
Okay.
Greg Hardy was absolved by the state. They dropped the case. The NFL.
May I make a quick point of order there?
Yes.
Just because this always really angered me.
Yes.
Remember, there's sort of a loophole in North Carolina law whereby at the bench trial he was convicted. But it allows you to request a jury trial.
He appealed.
And he was granted the jury trial. Yes. She failed to show up and cooperate for the jury trial.
Right.
And then the authorities said that she had accepted a financial settlement.
Okay.
Just to keep this, he did get convicted the first time by that judge in a bench trial. Go ahead.
Yes, but in the eyes of the law, if you look at his record, there's nothing on it.
I got it.
Okay. The NFL positioned the judge. The judge says, okay. The DA says, I will allow you to look at information. You cannot take it from the courthouse and you cannot disseminate this information. So they did their due diligence because they wanted to see if Greg Hardy violated the NFL's personal conduct policy. Now, the state says we're done with Greg Hardy. We got nothing. We're done. The NFL says, oh, no, but we're not. We need to see information that might be pertinent to us, that we can see if Greg Hardy violated the personal conduct policy of the National Football League. This young man here, they did absolutely.
And by the way, on Greg Hardy, the bottom line was he was suspended 10 and it got reduced to 4 on appeal. So he served a 4-game suspension.
4-game suspension.
Okay. And we saw the pictures.
And they have more information because at the Pro Bowl, Josh Brown showed up intoxicated, banging on the door. The wife and the kids were moved to a separate hotel. So you have information, first-hand information, not hearsay. You have firsthand information that you did not have with Greg Hardy and you didn't have with Ray Rice. And yet you did nothing but suspend him for 1 game because you said you could not obtain information. But somehow this writer from Deadspin was able to get information on his measly salary that a $12, $14 billion corporation could not
he
get.
He didn't go through King County. He just got the divorce court record. It's public. You can acquire that. Okay, so go ahead.
That's what makes this so amazing. Here's a guy with no law background was able to go get information in the end, and
Sure.
you probably got 25 people on NFL salary right now, lawyers, this Lisa Friel and all these that's making 5, 10 times what this gentleman or this young lady makes. I guarantee you, he could waltz down and go to Seattle and get information that they couldn't. See what I'm starting?
Hey, for Lisa Friel, this would be ABC stuff. This would be rudimentary legal fact gathering. Go ahead. Yes.
Josh Brown the NFL, if you're serious about this, Josh Brown just served himself up on a silver platter. You can got some teeth. But you know what? Skip, you mentioned it. Everything that I was able to accomplish as far as financially, take care of my grandmother and give her a life she never would have enjoyed, my brother and I, my kids to college, taking care of them and giving them a head start was because of the National Football League.
Sure.
And what I'm about to say might be very unpopular, but I want Commissioner Goodell to get out of the punishment business. If it does not directly affect the integrity of the game, you should not issue any more punishment because you don't know what you're doing. You failed twice and you failed miserably. Now you want to go after the public gets information that you could have easily gotten. You want to try to save face. And it's double jeopardy because know what? You've already suspended him.
Yep.
You can't send the man back to jail after he already served his time because maybe you find out something else.
You mean the double jeopardy law that applies in the court system, but here you could revisit.
You can't, because that's what happened with Ray Rice, remember? He had served 2 games. They tried to suspend him indefinitely. He went to the court. The court said, the judge said the tape didn't reveal new information. It highlighted what you already knew. You can't do that. He got his salary. Ray Rice has never played another game.